Reviewing a new theatrical movie? What? Hello everyone and welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about The New Mutants. Yes, that is a real movie. It actually happened. This was supposed to come out in April of 2018 and then it got pushed I think 4 times throughout 2018, 2019, and now finally August of 2020 is when we finally got to see it. Just think, in the X-Men franchise, this movie was supposed to come out at this around Logan, Deadpool 2, Dark Phoenix. This was all supposed to come out at around that same time, which is crazy. Oh, and no spoilers in this review, by the way, don't worry. So starting off, this is a movie in the Fox or 20th Century Studios now X-Men franchise, and it is the last one, unfortunately. Left a huge era of films, some great, some not so great. This movie is directed by Josh Boone and stars a lot of cast members. It has Anya Taylor-Joy playing Magic, Maisie Williams playing Wolfsbane, Charlie Heaton as Cannonball, Henry Zaga as Sunspot, and Blue Hunt playing Danny Morningstar, who goes by a couple names in the comics, but she's not really given one in this movie. In a broad sense, what I'll say is this is not the best X-Men movie, but it is not nearly the worst X-Men movie. It's very middle ground, middle tier. Where I think the film struggles is in its first act and in its setup. Danny Moonstar is sort of seen as the lead of the film amongst the group of all the kids, and the unfortunate problem is you don't really fully latch onto her character and her performance. I unfortunately did not like Blue Hunt's performance in this movie. I thought everyone else in the cast did a wonderful job, though. And just with her being set up as the lead character, for whatever reason, she just doesn't quite you don't quite get behind her as an audience member. I actually had the opposite problem with last year's Alita Battle Angel. In that movie, I disliked everything around Alita, but at least I could get behind the main character. And in this film, I couldn't really get behind the lead. But fortunately, this movie also does a lot of great things that kind of help shift that dynamic to where you can get behind the other characters. And then as the film goes, in the second act, it really finds its footing and drives it home nicely. When this film dives into the other characters, and you start to see, what drives them, what they're afraid of, what they desire, you really get encapsulated into the plot of this movie. But unfortunately, it's just not with its main lead. But however, as the film wraps up and as it goes, you understand that character's place in the film. I feel like with the other New Mutants in the film, you're kind of shown their situation and you kind of get to decide for yourself how to feel. But with this lead character, I felt like I was being told how I should feel, and it kind of just messed with the overall emotional experience with the film. But fortunately, as it went on, that subsided, and I was really caught up in the action and the drama and what was going on with this movie. And that really has to do a lot with how great the supporting cast was. And by the end of the film, when you realize Danny's place amongst the team as almost like the missing piece, then you can get behind her a little bit more in retrospect. But everyone else, thoroughly fantastic job. Magic is especially a standout, Cannonball as well. This film has a lot of really awesome, creepy sequences, and a lot of the creature designs, the character designs are really skin-crawling and disturbing, but also a lot of fun and cool. You do get some references to the 20th Century Fox X-Men movie era, some that are pretty on the nose and some that are just broad. Well, ironically, this movie, like many other X-Men movies, does create some continuity problems, and it wouldn't be a Fox X-Men movie if they didn't, so that was just kind of fun. They could be continuity problems. I don't want to get into it because it would kind of be spoiling, but it shows you something. I'm just be very broad. It shows you something, and you're like, I recognize that. And then it tells you, oh, that's that thing. And you're like, no, but I know what that is, and that's not what that, something's going on here. It might have been like a placeholder scene for reshoots that were planned and never happened, but maybe that's what they planned on showing the whole time, who knows. But overall, it didn't completely detract from the movie, and seeing some familiarity in the franchise actually helped it a lot. This movie does have some really cool, bombastic action sequences. Some of it is, filmed okay. Some of it's a little shaky, and with the CG you can't see very much. But overall, showing the mutants and how they utilize their powers was done very well. It does a good job of bringing the team together at the end to fight. And of course, with this movie, there is some teen angst, which can get annoying, but for the most part, it actually worked well to the characters, and it fit, the dynamics of what was going on. There is a love story between two characters. I won't spoil it, just in case you don't know about it. And while at the beginning of the love story, I didn't buy why they were together, but as the movie went on, I liked their relationship, and it kind of helped bring it home at the end, but just them initially falling for each other I thought was very weird and random. But as they were together, the chemistry in their relationship really helped bring an extra layer to the film, and especially It just felt like a very realistic, awkward teen love, which I thought was very nice. And, coming from the director of The Fault in Our Stars, I could see, the tendencies and the ability to be able to do that. The movie also just does have a really creepy atmosphere to it and an overall nature, especially, when you find out the reason for why things are happening. It really kind of does do a full circle story as to why things are happening and coming together. And while I couldn't really get behind the character of Danny throughout the movie, at the end, she does have a nice wrap-up to an initial part of her story, so I think the writing was there. Unfortunately, I think it was part of the performance. There are a couple bad performances, not from the main leads, but from some of the side characters. I actually thought the actress playing Dr. Reyes actually did a really good job. She was kind of, can you trust her, can you not trust her? You really kind of got that vibe from her. So 20 years. The Fox had X-Men. X-Men came out 2000 and New Mutants 2020, so they had a 20-year run. Very interesting run. Eventually they're going to get, rebooted into the MCU, which is very cool, but it's really just like an era of cinematic history that kind of came to a close, and it's very sad. But overall, while I don't think this movie reaches the particular heights of the X-Men franchise, it definitely avoids its lows, so I'm going to give the New Mutants a B. Thank you guys so much for watching, and, as I watch more theatrical releases, I'll be reviewing them again. And please, check out more of the YouTube channel. I'm sure I'm going to be talking about this more on the podcast next week. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.